Okay? So this is the last slide here. What I'm going to do next, we're going to pause for a moment, but essentially we're going to walk through a simple demonstration. We're going to show a few of these services in action. Again, it's all going to be part of Bluemix, which is that platform as a service. We'll start there. You can see kind of a level set what that looks like. And then in this case here, what we have is, imagine you're at this superstore and they sell your typical office equipment. Could be furniture, could be printers, things like that. And part of this now, we have we put together a mobile survey app, and we want to survey our clients after they purchase to see what they liked, what they didn't like, so we can really get a pulse for how our clients perceive this process. We want to make that experience as good as best as we can. So essentially, what we have is a survey application running on top of Cloudant. In addition, we have our office store sales information. We have that loaded into a database already. So we have all the sales records. What we want to do is combine that information together and see if we can get some information from that, see if we can get some insights. Namely, who are our top customers? If our top customers are unhappy, maybe we send them a notification, send them a coupon or something, certainly to have them come back to our store, right? And certainly if there's something else with customer service, maybe we can get those things corrected. So the idea is to use this platform to build out this application. Right? So to do that, we're going to have Cloudant as the source for the survey application. dashDB is going to be the source for our sales data. And then dashDB is going to be the target for our data warehouse where we combine those two pieces of data. And to do that, we're going to leverage Data Connect. And lastly, we're going to take a look at that combined data using Watson Analytics. Okay? 7 or 8 of these open source services, which now I can run my business all on the same platform and leverage open source. Okay. What we're going to do is jump down, and we have dashDB for analytics. So this is one of the core services that we spoke about. This is our SQL data warehouse as a service. Okay. And then in addition, we have things like Cloudant. Cloudant over here on the left, Cloudant noSQL database. All right, and then below that we have Data Connect. Those are the 3 services we're going to touch on in this demonstration. Okay. First thing I'll do is jump into Cloudant. I already have this launched. Again, what is Cloudant? Well, Cloudant is based on Apache CouchDB. CouchDB is an enterprise-class NoSQL database, and this is designed for JSON documents. So we're going to store these JSON documents. So why do I care? I mean, why can't I just use any other database? Well, the main benefit with Cloudant is you can support your applications using a RESTful API, which means when I write my app, I'm connecting directly to this Cloudant database, which makes it very easy to develop. So essentially, the application is talking to Cloudant directly, and we're loading documents directly into the database. So it's load and go. And what's nice is it's schemaless. So unlike a SQL database, Cloudant allows you to load these documents very, very quickly without actually defining the schema of the database, defining things like what my table looks like, what my structure looks like. So it's very fast for developers to build. They don't have to be a DBA. They don't have to worry about designing schema and worrying about what the back end looks like. And that's the benefit here, is let IBM worry about the Cloudant database. Let IBM worry about the scalability, the availability, and security of that system. You worry about developing your applications. And the nice thing is this is designed on a very robust platform, and it scales very, very, very fast, so you can support very large workloads. Okay, so we're in the Cloudant user interface at this point. We have databases on the left. You can see a number of the options. And I put together just a test database, a couple sample documents. Again, this is that survey application. So in this case, you can see here's a sample JSON document. We have an ID, we have a rev, and then we have first name, which is the metadata, and Bobby is the actual data. So in this case, just a record of the survey transaction. Okay. Now the question is, we have all this survey data, in Cloudant. How do we query that data? How do we use that to get more insights into our business? We want to see, which surveys perhaps came back with less than stellar results. And we want to combine that with our sales information, with the sales order. How do you go about doing that? and our sales data is in a SQL database, and our survey data is in a NoSQL database. Well, a couple things. One, certainly Cloudant supports the ability to search and query the database directly. However, as this database gets larger, and as we start to do things like joining with other data sets, maybe it makes sense to take this data from Cloudant and move it into a SQL data warehouse. And a number of our clients do that, especially as their reporting and analytics requirements get much more complex. So within that sense, there's an option here called analytics, and what we can do is actually go out and build a SQL warehouse directly from Cloudant. And the way this works is there's a process called schema discovery, where you're going out, you specify your warehouse, which could be DB2 or dashDB, and then Cloudant does the rest. Cloudant goes out and actually inspects all those documents that are now in Cloudant and makes sense of it. Through logic, it says we're going to build a corresponding schema in dashDB, and then we're going to take all these records and we're going to load them. We're going to transform them and load them for you into this warehouse. So now you have a SQL warehouse that's mapped to your Cloudant database. The benefit being that process is automated, so you don't have to worry about having expertise to understand what's in there. And secondly, now you have a database I can take advantage of and combine with other of my enterprise data, such as my sales data, could be my HR data, could be even other data sites, data feeds such as Twitter. Okay. So this process is automated. Essentially, once you set it up and you hit go, it builds the warehouse for you. Okay. I wanted to point to, there's a lot of online documentation, so any questions you have about product, you can click on this link, and there's a lot of different shortcuts here for you. Essentially, there's a high-level look at my cloud infrastructure. One other thing here regarding replication. So the goal here is, we have a lot of clients that have the need for a real-time replication. Cloudant does an amazing job of replicating data. It's one of the most powerful points, where when you're replicating data from, could be a mobile device as an example, what's going to happen is, number one, we support offline. So if you have perhaps a field resource using their mobile device for their business, and they could be either offline because they're in a location that has no internet connectivity, it could be in a basement of a building perhaps, could be even in a spot where you have some clients are in a bank vault. They're inspecting the vault, and there's no connectivity there. Well, what happens is the application continues to run on their device. It supports Apple and Android. And then as soon as they're reconnected, what happens with replication, it'll take all that data on the device and push it up into the cloud. So now you have a copy of it in your master cloud database. And that's all supported out of the box. So that's, of course, one of the highlights with Cloudant as well. There's many other pieces here. This is just meant to give you a kind of a teaser introduction, but certainly we can come back and do a complete demo on Cloud if needed. All right. So those are some of the key points. Now that we touched on that, let's jump into dashDB and take a look at this data. So we mentioned the survey data. It does us more good once we're in a SQL warehouse, because now that's the SQL database. I can leverage my traditional BI tools. I can take advantage of other data sets and join them, combine them to make a single data warehouse as an example. And that's what we're going to do next. So dashDB is the SQL data warehouse as a service. The first thing I'll do here is, you can see we have an option to load data, work with tables, and run SQL, right? So essentially what this is a database, but it's a pre-configured database for data warehousing. Right? So this is built on years of expertise that IBM has gained from things like Netezza and DB2. So Netezza and DB2 support very large workloads and very complex analytics, and that's kind of the level set. That's a starting point. So dashDB is based on that technology. The good news is you can start small in the cloud, and you can pay as you grow. So essentially, I may start for free and an eval and work my way up to large, dedicated servers, but it's all the same platform. It's still this enterprise-class platform designed to support analytics, right? And that's the benefit here, is that everything you see here is designed to support your analytics. That's the goal, make it perform very fast without a lot of intervention. And that's kind of the key here. There's other solutions out there that provide analytics as a, data warehousing as a service for analytics. The difference is what happens as a database grows. What happens as a SQL warehouse becomes, a terabyte, 2 terabytes or more. Does it have to be tuned? How do you have to tweak it to support these large data sets? How do you set up compression? Whereas dashDB has a lot of built-in capabilities, so the compression happens for you. You don't have to worry about that. A lot of the optimization happens for you. So the goal being, you don't have to spend a lot of time tuning this database to get it to perform. So dashDB has the benefit of load and go, much like Cloudant. Okay. With that being said, the first thing we'll do is take a look at how to get data into dashDB. Well, first and foremost, within dashDB, there's a couple options here, right? So I can load data. I can load data from desktop. So desktop means we have a CSV file, an Excel file. I can load data from the cloud. So there are some cloud sources such as Amazon S3 or soft layer object storage. Why is that important? Well, we may have large files that are out in the cloud that we stage on Amazon or the object store because it's a very low-cost storage for files versus keeping them on a laptop. So that's one way to pull data in. And then we support geospatial data as well. Things like Twitter feed, open data, so there's some open data sources we can pull data in from. In this case here, we're going to touch on load from desktop. And again, this is built directly into dashDB. And typically, it's a nice way to test out your data on dashDB. All right, right off the bat, we can choose a file. So again, this is CSV, or this could be Excel. I can pick a file and pull it in. In this case, I have an Excel file. I already have this file loaded, so I'm going to jump to that piece. But essentially, once you load it in, right, you have you pick a schema, and now the table is available to you. So in this case here, we have my store sales data, and this happens to be the same data we talked about. This is that office equipment, or I should say office furniture. And first thing I'll do is hit browse, so you can take a look at what we have for sample data. All right. So again, all this is doing is going out, looking at my database. We're getting a quick sample set of data. Great. Okay. What about my data that I had from my Cloudant database, that schema discovery process we spoke about? Where is that? So part of this process, when we set that up, it took that data and pushed it into dashDB as a separate table. In fact, let's see if we can find the same record. This is Bobby Trafton. This was the same record that we saw. In this case here, pushed it over. Now we can see we have the same record that we saw in Cloudant as a record in our SQL data warehouse. All right, so we have our survey data, we have our order information, if you will, from our office equipment superstore. Now what's next? Okay. So dashDB in itself is designed to support enterprise class data sets. We can load data in from any of these sources, but typically you're probably going to use other tools to move data. And in this case, we're going to touch on Data Connect. Data Connect allows us to move data from a number of sources, including some of the things you see here. So we support things like Amazon Redshift, Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, Postgres, Salesforce, Sybase, Teradata, so some of the big ones here. And certainly you see here things like Cloudant and dashDB as well. So those are all supported. And this list is always growing. So Data Connect is a cloud-based service to help migrate data from point A to point B, and it allows us to do some lightweight preparation of the data. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to take data from the survey app that we now have in our SQL warehouse, and we're going to take data from our orders store, if you will. We're going to all the superstore order data from the furniture. And we're going to combine it together so we have a single data warehouse, and then we're going to use that for some analysis. Okay? What we'll do is on the left-hand side, we're going to jump into that test space and see all the services I have in the test space. And we're going to click on Data Connect. you can see all the services I have listed in that space. And again, the nice thing is you can go ahead and pick and choose what you want for your space. And the eval is great because you get free 30 days. And after that, it's based on activity or based on size of your data. So some of these services actually stay free if they're just small for kind of a trial area. Let's launch the user interface for Data Connected. And then we're back in. Apologize for that. I'll go into refine and copy. The first thing I'll do is I'll select my source database. Okay. And I can see I have different sources. I can even, if I go, actually my target database has the schema that I need, which is my dashDB schema. And now it lists all the tables out. So again, our goal is to combine data from two different tables, pick and choose what I want for columns, and then build a data mart from that. So the first thing I'll do is choose my test table. This is my survey data from Cloudant. And if I don't want to have my ID or my rev in my data mart, then we can ignore those. And then we'll click on my store sales information. Maybe I want all those columns. So then you can see I have refined data or copy to target. Copy to target just means we're taking this and we're going to physically move it over and copy it. Refine allows me to take some additional steps and cleanse this data. All right. So now we're in this refine step. Let's give it a name. We'll call this our join survey and orders. And that's exactly what we're doing. So at the very bottom, you can see we have our test table and we have our store sales table. I click on the store sales table. Again, this is all my order information, orders that we have from the furniture equipment. Okay, and I have order ID. And notice under order ID, we have a data type. It looks like it thinks it's a zip code. Well, I'm going to convert this number to a string just with a click. And if I go to operations, I can see exactly what just happened. It gives me a list of all the operations that we've done, and it gives me some suggested options as well. So under suggested, remove empty column rows. Maybe I want to apply that. So what we're trying to do is basically increase the quality of my data, because in some cases when the data comes in, it's not so clean. And the idea is to have it as clean as possible, so that when we do our analytics, we have the best results possible, so we can make better decisions. And now you can see my quality score is 97%. It's a pretty good quality score. That's based on things like, do we have empty rows? And it's basically looking across all my different data sets. Okay? All right. Now, one other thing I can do when I go into table operations is I have an option for join data sets. And this is where I can actually go out and pick and choose to join these tables together, right? I have order ID, and then we'll have order ID for our survey data. I can change the join condition. You can see we have a couple options here. We can match rows, or we can do basically a left or left join. So we can do matching rows if you wanted to, right? And in this case here, we don't want to turn on case sensitivity. Okay, once you join it, we have our combined data set now. And then if I hit next, we can go through, actually load this into a target database. All right, pick your schema. And now we have a few options. We can append to an existing table. The reason why that would be important is, what if you had a job that you'd run on a regular basis, maybe daily or twice a day, you want to take data and load into your data warehouse? This is a nice way to set that up. In this case, we're going to recreate a new table. We're going to give it a new name. Call it our order. Order and survey data mart. All right, now we're going to hit run. And this is basically considered one activity. So we just put together an activity. The activity did two things. It pulled in data from two different tables. It did a couple operations. We changed the data type. We removed some empty rows, empty columns, I should say. And then we went through and did a simple join. Right? We just did matching rows, did a simple join just to prove it out. We took that and then we loaded it into a target data warehouse or data mart. And that's the activity running right now. If I go into the activity, I can actually see this. If I want to go through and edit, I can see the actual job. And this is a job now that I can schedule. We talk about running this on a daily basis. There's something I can go in and actually schedule to run on a regular basis. And that's that's a nice way to automate the process. So the goal is the more stuff I can automate, the less stuff I have to worry about in the back end. I can worry about perhaps other tasks I can do during the day. And that's one nice step here. All right, let's see if this thing finished. All right, so that activity is 100% complete. Looks like it just finished. Not scheduled yet, but if I want to schedule, I can pick and choose what I want for a schedule on a regular basis. All right. Let's take a look. Let's go back into dashDB and see if we have this table now. We have a live demo. Let's see if we can. I gave it a new name, so let's see. Order survey data mart. Let's see if we have any data in here. Drum roll. Here we go. Now we have both the order information combined with the customer. So in this case here, let's take a look at a row here. Actually easier to see the other way. So essentially what we're looking at is we're looking at for a given order, in this case here, what are the records tied to an actual survey event. So in this case here, we have a couple different surveys that we went through. Right, in this case it was Aaron Bergman, very satisfied. He had the free next day shipping. You can see exactly what he bought. So maybe we go down and we can see not satisfied. So how do I do some analysis on this? Well, we're just browsing right now, but wouldn't it be nice to have some analytics and say maybe, just show me all my unsatisfied clients. Just show me, maybe show me all the products that were tied to an unsatisfied survey. Maybe show me all the shipping methods tied to an unsatisfied survey. Maybe show me all the stores tied to that. So maybe I can start doing some analysis and say, geez, there's a common thread here. Looks like every time somebody chooses ground shipping, they're unhappy. They want to get it next day. Every time we give away free shipping, geez, it's $10 on our end, but they spent whatever $100-something and they're all super happy because they got free shipping. So that's where analytics come in. You don't really know until you start taking your data and do your slice and dice. So part of it is making the data accessible, making it easy and accessible, and that's why we have these tools to help your business users. Now, Data Connect's not going to replace a traditional ETL process if you have that. It's designed to augment it. And certainly if you don't have that process, it allows your organization to go through and move data, do some cleansing, so you can build things like this. And the goal is to either augment what you're doing today with your current ETL processes, with things like Data Connect and dashDB, or if you don't have any processes today and perhaps your business is running on Excel, perhaps even running on some smaller databases, leverage this to go ahead and build out so you have a nice process to not only cleanse your data, store it in a secure manner. Now we can go ahead and throw some analytics on top of that. So this is our segue into Watson Analytics. It's our self-discovery tool we can use to provide more insight into our business. Let me jump over. Actually, I'll pause for a moment and again see if you have any questions at this point. We touched on some of the key services, Cloudant, which is our NoSQL database as a service. We then jumped into dashDB and Data Connect a little bit. Data Connect being our data movement and data preparation solution, and then dashDB, which is our SQL Data Warehouse as a Service. So I'll pause now for any questions about those three pieces.